In the United States, rivers are among the ecosystems under the greatest pressure. One of the main culprits? Dams. They disrupt the natural flow of water, alter floodplains, cause erosion, reduce vegetation, and lead to a decline in biodiversity. And the worst part? Wildfires. But in the state of Washington, scientists have discovered a surprising way to bring rivers back to life, even after devastating fires. The solution? Releasing beavers. In just a short time, signs of life began to return to the scorched landscape. Signs that hadn't been seen in years. Let's take a closer look at how it works. When you think about the decline of American rivers, which one comes to mind first? Of course, the Mississippi, the country's main artery, draining 40% of the continental US. And that's where our story begins. Just look at the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico near the Louisiana coast. It's caused by a buildup of nitrates and phosphorus flowing into the Mississippi from farms, factories, and other sources. But that's not the whole story. Human activity in the Mississippi River Basin has also led to the loss of floodplain forests and wetlands, true hotspots of biodiversity. These forests are a haven and food source for hundreds of species of birds, insects, fish, and other wildlife. They may look like ordinary forests, but they can be flooded at any time by the river or its tributaries. And it's here that we find perhaps the greatest species richness, from common to protected animals. For example, the floodplain forests of the upper Mississippi are home to 180 bird species during nesting and migration. That's a solid number, and that's just birds. In total, we're talking about thousands of species. Since the 19th century, both the upper and lower Mississippi have been heavily developed. The upper stretch has lost nearly half of its floodplain forests. The typical scene today? Standing dead wood, trees that died due to drastically altered conditions. In the lower Mississippi, where countless species live, only 30% of the land remains forested according to a 2020 study. That might sound like a decent figure, but only if you forget that the entire valley was once covered in forest. It's incredible, and at the same time tragic, that due to human intervention, the Mississippi and its tributaries have become flood machines. Almost every year, part of the river suffers flooding that destroys nature and human settlements. Now, let's move to the state of Washington. At first glance, nature looks untouched, but it's just an illusion. Even here, human activity has significantly disrupted river ecosystems. According to the Center for American Progress, CAP, over 46% of rivers in Washington have been modified. Of large rivers, 68%. Of smaller ones, 42%. In 10% of rivers, water doesn't flow freely due to barriers, including 751 large dams. And 44% of streams flow through heavily modified or urbanized areas. Before European settlers arrived, floodplain forests and wetlands covered 40 to 50% of the coastal landscape. Then came overgrazing, agricultural expansion, logging, and mining. The result? A loss of channel complexity and suitable habitats. Today, these forests and wetlands cover only about 2% of river surroundings. And when things are already bad, fires make them worse. In 2015, a wildfire broke out near the Twisp River and spread over 11,100 acres. Witnesses say it hit nature hard, wiping out all life. The Twisp River lost most of its already endangered biodiversity. You could say the landscape around it suffered a double degradation. Do you know what managed to restore the devastated landscape? What brings waterways back to life even after double degradation? From humans and wildfires? Surprisingly, it's those tree-gnawing creatures, beavers. Rivers like the Twisp and Methow were once home to hundreds of these natural engineers. But then European settlers came and hunted them nearly to extinction in Washington. In 2007, the Methow Beaver Project was launched to restore beaver populations. After the 2015 fire, 3 pairs of beavers were released into the streams around Black Canyon. When scientists returned later, they found the beavers had survived the winter and begun building dams. Soon, each site had 7 or more dams. The restoration project was gaining momentum. Beavers build dams to create ponds where they can hide from predators. How does it work? The dam slows down the river and the water seeps into the surrounding floodplains and wetlands. After fires, beavers act like a shot of revival. Their wetlands attract a wide range of species. The revived landscape attracted deer, elk, otters, and other animals. Unfortunately for beavers, they're slow and bulky, making them easy prey for coyotes, cougars, or bears. Even so, it turned out that just a few individuals can restore an entire area destroyed by fire. Scientists rightly labeled beavers a keystone species. Their contribution to nature is immense, and it doesn't stop at landscape recovery. Beavers are essential to restoring landscapes after fires and droughts. On the other side of a beaver pond, vegetation barely suffered from the fire. The reservoir they built even served as a water source for firefighters. Researchers from the Mathau Beaver Project proudly noted that one such pond was directly used for this purpose. But beaver ponds can do even more. They trap sediment, slow down mudslides, and serve as natural buffers against floods. These builders clearly deserve more recognition. They are restoring rivers to their original, healthier form. And just when we think their benefits end there, along comes salmon. Yes, beavers help with that too. Salmon have a complex life cycle. They're born in freshwater streams, migrate to estuaries, mature for life in the ocean, and later return to the upper reaches to spawn and die. Washington is home to 7 salmon species. It offers ideal conditions: streams, ocean access, and diverse habitats. But between 1990 and 2020, the human population here increased by 63%, and by 2040, it's projected to exceed 9 million. Like adding another Seattle, more people means more pressure on land and water for housing, work, and recreation. It's already causing the loss of salmon habitats, with more expected. For instance, Puget Sound has lost salmon habitat along 1/3 of its shoreline, over 2.5 kilometers, due to construction of protective structures like seawalls and dams meant to protect homes and infrastructure. But these interventions alter the natural environment. Seawalls dampen waves that would otherwise erode banks and form beaches where salmon hunt insects and small fish. Floodplains, as mentioned earlier, have also been heavily damaged. Some reports suggest that 50 to 90% of land along Washington's rivers has been lost or dramatically changed by human activity. Floodplains are areas with lush vegetation that provides shade, cools the water, filters pollution, and offers shelter and food for young salmon. Their degradation poses a serious threat to these fish. Restoring these habitats requires a complex approach, and the state is actively working on it. Beavers are helping too. In Washington, the Tulalip Beaver Project has been running since 2014, releasing over 200 beavers to support salmon populations. Beavers have built dozens of ponds with cool, shaded water rich in insects, the perfect environment for young fish. The project doesn't directly track salmon numbers, but monitors habitat quality, water temperature, pond size, and quantity. And healthier habitats mean more salmon. Biologists point to areas transformed by beavers into complexes of dams and ponds filled with juvenile salmon. Projects to return beavers help not just rivers and salmon, but the beavers themselves. They can coexist with humans. Otherwise, they're often killed or relocated. In many areas, beavers are still seen as pests, chewing trees and altering water flow, which bothers farmers. But thanks to projects like Mathau Beaver, they can be caught and relocated. That way, troublemakers contribute to river restoration. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to let me know in the comments, and maybe leave a like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but it really means a lot to me. See you in the next video.